Welcome everyone to the Polarion series of webinars. Today's presentation, Everything You Need to Know for Discovering a Unified ALM Solution. Thank you for joining us, and we will commence shortly. I would like to introduce today's presenter, Jim Ferrante, a systems engineer with Polarion Software. Jim has over 20 years in supporting and selling in the software industry. Jim joined Polarion in February 2013 as a software sales engineer, and since that time has been involved in pre- and post-sales activities, providing all of the support to our Polarion customer base worldwide. Jim, I'd like to turn the presentation over to you now. I've taken you off mute, and welcome, Jim.
Thank you, Nancy. As was said, my name is Jim, and I will be your guide through this next session, Unified ALM using Polarion Session 1. Let's start with a quick introduction to Polarion. Polarion is a privately held company founded in 2004. We have been a leading innovator in web-based ALM solutions since our first product release in 2005. Since that time, we have grown to have over 2 million users of Polarion products in over 250 Fortune 1000 companies around the world. Our user community exceeds 15,000 members and is growing and getting stronger day by day. In addition, we offer a website containing over 200 product extensions that give you functionality you may use to expand the capabilities of Polarion products. These extensions have been created either by Polarion technical people or by our customers themselves. Many are free, some are fee-based. Polarion ALM is a unified application lifecycle management product that delivers all facets of an ALM solution in a single swipe. Polarion provides guaranteed traceability, forensic level linking, and user accountability. It's an easy system to use, but does not have the limitations and shortcomings of a document-based system, such as some of our clients using Microsoft Office. They've not progressed into a more automated form. The Polarion solution works in any industry and scales to any size while supporting any process or methodology. Polarion has a strong global presence with offices and partners located in strategic markets around the world. Our principal offices are located in the United States in San Francisco, and in Germany in Stuttgart. We also have primary offices in France, the UK, the Czech Republic, and Switzerland. While our partner offices are located in other countries such as Australia, Brazil, Finland, Japan, Singapore, and many others. In this session, we will discuss traceability, the ability to easily see if all aspects of your processes are accounted for, or if, for example, you have requirements that have associated test cases. We're also going to talk about how work can be accomplished in a distributed model, how Polarion updates various stakeholders concerning a current status of work in the project or on specific work items, and the ability to map any current processes you may have to Polarion without having to change how you work. First, we'll start with traceability. This is the ability to see and know all work items are appropriately linked and are supporting your processes. The basis of this concept starts with linking. Links can be seen, or traced, if you will, from a number of places in Polarion. It is possible to link any two work items together based on a specific rule set that you define. For example, you may want to link test cases only to system requirements and to nothing else. You will want to see this link after it's made. If you look at the heading of any work item, you will see an associated child, those subordinate work items that are linked below the current work item, or any of its parents, which are linked above. In addition to this, Polarion provides a traceability matrix, a report, if you will, that allows you to see at a glance if something is missing in the trace. For example, I mentioned earlier, a requirement does or does not have an associated test case. We'll visit with each one of these for just a few minutes. There are several ways to link artifacts. You can link artifacts within the same project or document, or you can link artifacts across projects. This will enable you to centralize artifacts and documents and reference them throughout your system. Notice the chain link in the left of the example on the screen above. There's a little chain link icon. Each artifact has this icon beside it. To link one artifact to another, click on that chain link icon. A box, in this example on the right side of the screen, will appear at the bottom right-hand portion of your screen and allows you to set the relationship. So the first item on the left is a test case. The second item on the left is a requirement, and the right is showing us this relationship. So we're going to click on the first one on the left, see the relationship verifies, and we're going to click on the one on the second one on the left. So we're going to connect a test case to a requirement. Once you click on the second or the requirement and click Save, your link is created and it is set forever. When you see the heading of a work item in Polarion, when you look at a work item, you can also see any parents that are linked to the artifact as well as any children. The visual approach not only provides an easy way to see and trace the links, but also provides a simple way to navigate the trace. So in this example, you can see the item in the middle. It's DP4566. Above it is its parent. Below it, it has a child. So we have a system requirement with a child test case here. From here, you can also create new children by clicking on the blue plus sign beside the DP4587 in the graphic. We mentioned a matrix. Traceability should be visual. Polarion provides the matrix, which allows you to see at a glance if something is missing in the trace. In this example, if a requirement does not have a test case, you will see a large hole, if you will, in the table. You can then determine if something is missing, and if so, go right to the place where you can add the missing artifact. Now we'll see this in action here in a few minutes. Distributed access in Polarion is a simple process. Regardless of where you are in the United States or in the world for that matter, distributed access can easily be managed. Polarion client is 100% web-based. All you need to work is a current browser and access to the internet. It is difficult in many cases to have two or more people work on the same document in an office-based system. In Polarion, many people can work on the same document at the same time without collisions. So you don't have to manage who's on at any given time or what they're actually doing. We also provide for multi-level comments and instant updating of information on all connected workstations. It is possible in Polarion to collaborate through comments explaining aspects of your work, asking for approvals, or making recommendations for enhancements. All comments become part of the history of the project and can be used to show how an item evolved. This is a visible form of communicating in a distributed environment because the information is shared immediately after it's saved. This can happen at the work item level, document level, or what we refer to as an activity screen in your My Polarion page. In addition to the comment capability of Polarion, you can also be notified of any changes made in the system via your internal email system. Notifications can include things like actual changes to existing items, the creation or deletion of items, the addition or deletion of users, changes in workflows, or any other changes that are made in the system itself. When working with Polarion work items, you will notice that every work item is divided into multiple sections. One of these sections is the comment section. Each section can be used for providing a history of work that needs to be done, shows when an e-signature occurred, by whom and when, or to simply collaborate with one or more people in other places around the world. Each comment added becomes part of the history of a work item and is stored indefinitely along with that work item. Every document that's created in the Polarion system provides a panel that shows existing comments in the document. The comments panel also provides for creating new comments and adding comments to a thread. This information can be read by anyone using the system. Again, an excellent form of collaboration. In addition to the comments panel, a comment bubble is added to the document so that it's easy to see where a comment occurs. Both the bubble and the comments panel can be used to navigate through the document to specific locations, so you don't waste any time searching for what you're actually looking for. On the right side of this page, you'll see a picture of the My Polarion page. You'll find the activity stream here. While the My Polarion page is designed to let you know what things need your attention, the activities area informs you what's been happening. For example, perhaps the items have been created or deleted. Both will show here, as well as many other aspects and features of items that can enhance overall team collaboration. Process and methodology is always an interesting topic. Many different customers are using different methodologies, and everybody uses different processes. When implementing an ALM solution, it is imperative that the solution be versatile enough to meet your ever-changing needs for process mapping and the various methodologies you may use on a day-to-day basis. It is also important that your tool be able to adapt to each methodology without causing additional overhead or stress. Polarion supports any methodology you may have, as well as maps any processes you may be using now. There is no need to adapt your methodologies or processes to be able to implement and use the tool. However, we do have customers that are not entirely satisfied with their current methods and processes, so they redefine and implement new processes within Polarion. This particular approach, this choice, is completely up to you. Use it out of the box with yours or manage new processes and methodologies. Polarion provides a very powerful workflow engine, part of the process and methodologies environment. With Polarion, you can define any workflow that you have or any one that you prefer to have. You can control the flow of the work item through the system, and you can cause various functions to be automatically engaged when there's a transition from one stage to another in the flow. You can also control who can actually perform the move. All of this is managed within Polarion. Now, interestingly enough, many applications have a single workflow. In Polarion, every specific work item, like a requirement or a test case or a task, every single requirement can have a different workflow if that's what you prefer. It's a very powerful aspect of our system. All right, at this point, we're going to kind of break away from the presentation and see how this looks. So let's give that a go for just a moment. I'm going to start with traceability, then we'll get into some of the comments that we talked about, how comments are made. We're going to look a little bit at two different projects that are identified as, let's say, a standard or a waterfall type of project, and follow that up with an agile type of project so you can see those variations. So let's go here. We'll start with this one. This is an overview of the product. On the left side is our navigation pane. The large white area is the workspace. Across the top, I have a couple tabs. I'm actually open in two projects. We have the Drive Pilot project, and we have the eLibrary project. Drive Pilot is more of a V-model waterfall kind of project. eLibrary is more of an agile-based, Scrum-based project. So with that in mind, let's take a look here and see what traceability, linking, work items, and the matrix all look like. So from a traceability perspective, we have a report, this matrix report. Let's come down here to test coverage, issues triggered. Let's take a look here. This would be one version, and it's a limited version at this point. We're going to go to another one here in just a minute, but in the first column we have a requirement followed by a test case. We don't know if this one's run or not, other than the fact that that this is blank. So let's take a look at a slightly better one. We'll look at test coverage results. This particular matrix, patterned after the same approach, is going to show us requirements along with associated test cases, and followed by whether or not this particular test case is run, and if it has run, where it ran from. That's what it's going to tell us here. This is a great form or method of traceability because, as we mentioned earlier, as you scroll down through here, you don't even have to read it. You're just looking for white space at this point. And in this particular example, we're going to have to get to the bottom. There we go. There's some white space. So this particular requirement has no test case. Now, if you're in a position to know this, to work with this, you can actually click on DP433, click on the requirement here. Here we go. I'm going to open that in a new tab. And it's going to open up the work item. And this is what the work item looks like for us. So we can come in here. This is the center line we talked about earlier with the title, the identification of the requirement. It has no children. It has no test case. An easy method of linking. Click on the blue plus, and we need a verifying test case. So we'll click on this. Now the test case, we would fill out accordingly, and real quickly it has test steps and execution and test records, a variety of different capabilities within this record. I'm not going to do that at this time. We're just going to simply click on create. What we're going to see now is that this test case has a parent, DP433. And we talked about navigation from here. If I click on DP433, I will go back to DP433 and see that the child now exists. That's an automatic form of linking. It's very quick. It's very easy. Now, if we come back to this particular report, there's no change here. That's compliments of a web environment. So what I'm going to do is just refresh that tab, and scroll down to the bottom to the EP433, because this will bring us back to the top. And that's down in here somewhere. There we go. And you will see that 433 now has a child. And these are active, so I can click on either one and go to either the requirement or the child. That's one form of linking. Another form of linking would be to come to, let's say we have, go to requirements. We mentioned this earlier. We'll go into this particular document. And as we scroll down through the document, we're going to see on the left side where requirements occur. So if I wanted to link a requirement, say this one, I would click on the icon, the chain link icon. It'll pop up that window we mentioned. Let's say, in this case, relates to, but there are different various relationships that can exist. We're going to run with relate to. And I'm going to click on this one. Now, this is just in the document itself. So we're going to click there. And then we're going to save the document. So now those two items are linked. I did it in the same document. I can do it across documents. I can actually do it across projects. So that's another way of actually causing the link to occur. Now, if I look at this work item, we're going to see that in this view as well, there is the chain link icon. So we can create the link from any view in a document or a specific work item. We can link it within a document. We can link it to any other work item in this project. We can link it across projects. Now, one of the things that we had here just a minute ago is a great example. We have the comments section that has come up. Let me go ahead and close this as well. This is the beginning of collaboration, to be able to look in a project or in a document, for example, and see the comments. Now, this actually came, they call this a sidebar panel, and it comes from here. Just click on comments, and we have all the comments now. In the right-hand panel, the comments panel, we have different comments that are included. This one is representative of a thread. We have a child, if you will. This is the main one. This is the beginning of the thread, and we can create as many items as we need. We talked about using comments as navigation. Well, we can go from this particular comment and click on it in the right panel, and that will take us to where that icon, that bubble icon I mentioned earlier, exists, and we take this right there. Now, another way to do this, if you put your cursor on the bubble, you can read the comment in the document. If you find another bubble, there's one. We can do it by just glancing through it. And you can see here what that comment is by putting the cursor there. And if I click on it, what you're going to see on the right-hand sidebar panel, the comments panel, is the focus will change to this comment. Okay, there we go. This is a minimal approach to the overview. So there we have it. Okay, so that's a form of collaborating. We can do that out of the work item. Let's take a look at the work item, or a work item again. Let's come down here. Oh, need a little bit more space. There we go. We'll look at this one. Open the item. Okay, so as we go down, we mentioned earlier that the work item itself is divided into sections. Here we have a description. All of these are editable, by the way. We can have custom fields in here. And there's our comments. There's our comment section. So we can add a comment, create a new comment. This one was added automatically by the system when this document was e-signed by David Merrill on this date and time. So that signature, that e-signature, was automatically recorded in the comments. If I want to add more comments, I can create a comment. This is added for webinar. Oops. And when I save this, it will become part of the work item. Whoops, that was edit. Sorry. Come back. Did I lose that? No. Good. So we'll come back up here and save it. There's the second comment. Now this becomes part of the history of the work item. So it's there forever. Everything that happens in a work item is recorded. Every revision, every change, doesn't matter what it is. Now the last item we were talking about as far as collaboration is concerned was the My Polarion page. This is how you get to it here. Every project will have a My Polarion page, and the user's name will be here. The information will be basically customized to that user. This is what it looks like. A list of information, things that I have to do. So like my tasks and defects, any potential change impact in my system, and anything that's waiting for approval. Now, the purpose here is under activities, I can see what's been going on. For example, I did an update here. Created a test case. These are the things that we did during this webinar. Prior to this, David Merrill's been very active. He's created quite a few things and updated a few more. So this activity stream is showing you what's going on, and it's enhancing collaboration across the system. So process and methodology. This will be our last topic for discussion as far as the demonstration is concerned. We have different projects based on different methodologies. It's based on a variety of things, actually. Work items is our smallest unit of managed work, and this particular project has quite a few work items in it. Various different requirements, different test cases, risk analysis, issues, tasks, etc. This one is set up in what's called a V model. So it's going to have a system requirement supported by software requirements or mechanical requirements or electrical requirements. Each one of these requirements will have a certain level of test. So as you go down from the top, the system requirement at the top left, and you start coming down and indenting in these 4 different requirements, then you come back up to the other side of the V with requirement test environment or test cases that support that level of requirement. So that's one methodology that we can employ. Very similar in nature to a waterfall, but a little slightly different. A different approach might be using an agile form. This is Scrum-based, and give you an example here. Let's see, where would it be? Maybe here? Yeah. We have information here surrounding a sprint. In fact, the sprint board is an excellent example. In the sprint board, we get to see what's in the to-do category, what's in progress, what's done, what's verified, all the different types of requirements, test cases, issues, or failures to run in a test, defects, if you will. Those can be added. So different methodologies can be employed. Each one of these different work items, as I said before, let's take a look at work items here, has a slightly different, or can have a slightly different workflow. Now the workflow in a test case shows up, or I'm sorry, in a work item, shows up as a status. So in this particular case, we have a status of draft. When I click here from the draft status or stage, I can go to approve or I can go to reject. That's it. There may be 15 different steps in this workflow, but it's being managed, it's being controlled. This is where you can go from draft. You can go to approve, you can go to reject. That's it. If I go to a different test or a different type of, let's see what a defects workflow might look like. Status is open, and from open I can go to start progress, resolve, verify, reject, and reject, verify. Different workflows for different work items. Different methodologies and different processes map directly into the system. So this is a very useful and very helpful and very powerful tool within the Polarion system. Nancy, for that, for the demonstration, that's pretty much the end of it. So let me go ahead and bring this back and go from here to any Q&A that we may have. Any questions that have come up that we've not already answered?
Certainly, if everybody wants to put any in the Q&A panel, I have a few in the chat that I can pull out. Mostly with regards to the first one was just, will this session be available online post-webinar? And absolutely, it will be available in an audio link sent out to you immediately following the close of this particular webinar. As well, it will be made available in our on-demand Polarion series of webinars in the next few business days on our website at www.polarion.com. If there are any specific questions to the presentation, we would be glad to have those throughout the Q&A panel. I'm just searching through them now, Jim, to see if there is one. One that someone raised one about test cases. And how are they related to requirements?
Well, there's 2 aspects of that. One, the test case is related to a requirement in the sense that a test case or more than one test case will validate or verify that a requirement has been met. Now, that's just like a very high-level overview of why a test case or how a test case relates. In addition to that, let me go ahead back here. When we actually set up, we have a test case. Let's see if we have a parent here. And we do. All right, so here's a test case, EL3007, that was identified and linked to a requirement. If we go back to the requirement, I'll make a little bit more space here. So if we go to the requirement, we see it has a test case. So if I read this requirement, if I go to this requirement and I read it, let's see, the iPad 3 storage shall be solid state persistent, flash media, and have variants that contain this capacity, and shows the different capacities. All right, so this is the requirement. Now this could be a standalone requirement in the system. It can actually belong to a document. In this case, it belongs to a document. You can tell right here on the screen, it says open in document. Now, if I go to this test case should then validate or verify that these options, 16, 24, 32 gig, are in existence and they are solid state and persistent. Okay. So if I go here, what I'm going to find, this was just generalized, so it's not going to be specific, but I'm going to have test steps that are going to say, step 1, test for 16 gig persistence. Description, describe what that step is. And then the expected results, you may expect it to show on the screen that it has 16 megabytes of memory. The next one might be for 32 and then 64. So all of that occurs. And when you run the test, like down here, you're going to come through, run the test, and identify whether it's passed, failed, or maybe if it fails here, the next one might want to be blocked. Then you're going to give an overall grade, if you will, passed or failed to the entire test case.
Good.
Next question, Nancy?
Yep, another question came from Jim. In large organizations, can you hear me okay? Yeah. In large organizations, would you often see projects developing or improving more than one application? Is it critical to be able to baseline and retrieve the requirements per application? And if so, how does Polarion support this paradigm?
Okay, so when we define a project, that is a large organizational definition. The reason I say that is because a project is completely up to the company and whether they want to subdivide higher levels. Let's go here and I'll show you an example. We're going to go to Open Project. This is giving me a list of all of the different projects that I have accessibility to in this particular environment. As you can see, we've got higher levels of folders. They're green. Then we have lower level, and they're blue. The blue ones are actually projects, and the higher levels they're designed to organize the lower levels of the projects. So if we look at an application like customer service, that might be the high level application. Under it, we're going to have service desk, and we might have another project or several projects. Under e-library applications, that's the application, and we have 2 under here. Under medical, there's 2. Under planning, there's 2. So these higher levels, project groups, project groups are designed to hold projects. So if you look at a project group like an application, and then you look at the application, and you look at the generalized high-level categories, parts, if you will, of the application and make them projects, then they can be being developed on different, or in parallel, if you will, just different aspects of it. Now, baselining is very simple in Polarion. If we go to the baseline, we'll go make one actually right here. Come down, expand, go to baselines. All you have to do is determine when you want to take a baseline. What a baseline is a picture of the project. It's literally a snapshot. So we can come in here and say create, and we're going to say webinar 1. I can give it a description, session 1 of unified ALM, and I say finish. So what that's going to do is that's actually going to create that snapshot. Now, that snapshot is recorded. It's basically giving me pointers, if you will, to everything that exists the way it exists now. So I can use this for a variety of methods. I can use it for reporting. I can use it to freeze or release. I can use it to go back in time, something that we affectionately refer to as the time machine. If I want to see what this project looked like at the beginning, I can go back, click on first. A couple things are going to happen here. First, it's going to tell me that I am actually in a baseline by giving me this little flag right here. It tells me which baseline I'm in first. You'll notice a big difference here in the left-hand navigation panel. There's not near the coverage that we had when we did the next snapshot. So if I were to go into the system and start looking around, everything that's in here would be as it was. So if I looked at the interface specification page, this document will exist as it existed originally. If it's been modified, it won't show here. To get out of the baseline, just click on the X, and this will bring me back. And since I was at that particular document, it brings me back to the document. So the implementation of baselines in projects is a discussion that can happen over the course of hours because of the intricacies and the nuances that it brings to the table. Next question.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jim. And Marianne, if you want more detail on that, send me just another little note, and I can actually forward you some additional information as well. The next question, Jim, that's come in is, how is risk handled within Polarion's ALM?
Okay. Now, what we have found, what we've experienced is that risk, especially in regulated industries like medical device, very, very important, very, very high visibility. So what we're going to do here is look for a risk document. We have some in here. Let's look at risks, see what I have under risks. Excellent. All right, so risk changes. Regulations don't change, but in like the FDA, for example, they don't really tell you how to do something. They just tell you it needs to be done. So what that causes in the industry is that when we go from one client to another client to another client, those three clients will have three different ways of managing their risk. But what we decided as a company was to provide a way, maybe a starting point, maybe a complete answer to somebody that doesn't do anything with risk at this point, but nonetheless a way. And what we decided on was FMEA. So in this particular example, we have an FMEA how-to, which is going to go down through the process, and it's going to tell you how we work, what we work with. For example, determining the severity of a risk, gauging its likelihood of occurrence, and failure detection. Those are three very important aspects that we include in this risk analysis. And we get the risk priority number, or the RPN, based on really just multiplying those three together. Okay? So this particular page tells us how we do that. Now, these things are implemented through a risk work item. So let's come down here, find a risk work item. There we go, and take a look at one. So the risk work item here, as we come down through the risk work item, we're going to see we have a risk priority. This is the RPN that we just mentioned. And as we come down through here, we're going to have different sections that are going to discuss the different areas that we use. There's the effects of failure, the occurrence rating, and the detection rating. And we're going to put values in here, not we, you. You're going to determine how these numbers occur, from 1 to 10 or 1 to 100, whatever. And you're going to put that value in here. And based on what you put in here, we'll go ahead and do the calculation and create your risk priority. Now, as you go through time and you find mitigating factors for your risk, you're going to come through here and you're going to add another level. Here's the actions taken, for example, how you're going to mitigate this. You're going to end up with, hopefully, when you take an action, it's designed to mitigate a severity level or an occurrence or a detection. We're going to end up with a new risk priority. So all this information is being carried in the risk work item. Now, what can we do with that? Let's come up here to the risk worksheet. This is a report that comes in the system, and it describes the risk item, its title, what its description is, potential causes. The original severity rating is here, 5. The original occurrence rating, 5. And then the original detection rating is 10. So we get an RPN number of 250. Now, as we work through it and create these mitigations, we can add information to the risk item. This is what's the recommended actions to mitigate it. And after mitigating it, we find that the new severity, occurrence, and detection ratings are lower, and the new RPN is 9. Now, this is information, specifically, it's generalized information. And being able to take a risk down to 0 is generally unlikely. So what you're looking for, obviously, is to lower this, and lowering this into a satisfactory range. And that's what this will help you do. Okay? Anything else on that?
No, that's great, Jim. A question came in with regards to translation. For example, so customization to another language, example, Spanish.
Okay. That does come up on several occasions, in fact, and we do support, let's see, what is that called? Anyway, we do support having language changes. That's not an issue that you have to worry about. Then what happens is the client shows Spanish or English, depending on where you are, and that's actually built into the system. Now, we do a variety. I found that we can do we can set it up so it reads right to left. We can do Chinese, Spanish, I believe, is in there, French, German, all these different languages.
Great. Thanks, Jim.
You're welcome.
That includes a lot of the Q&A that I have in the panel right now. So just a reminder out to our attendees that, again, there'll be a short evaluation, and if you do have more questions that pop up afterwards, please send them either in the evaluation there. You can tick off a box that we can reach out to you, or by all means, you can reach out to info@polarion.com as well. In addition, we will send you out today's audio recording and a link to the Polarion blog. So, Jim, I don't know if you had any final comments.
No, I'm actually pretty good. I went ahead and put up on the screen the next steps. If you want to download a 30-day free trial or try it live online or proof of concept, watch a demo, whatever, you just go to our website, www.polarion.com, and all that is freely available.
Great. Well, thanks very much, Jim, for your time today, and to all of our guests and attendees today, thank you for taking time out of your busy day and sharing it with Polarion software. Thank you.